Oh yeah, I can kind of hear something talking in the background a little bit. Oh, now it's recording. Awesome.
Here we go. Hi.
Good morning. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. Cheers, Mama. Got a cup. You got a cup? You don't have a cup.
There it is.
There it is.
My coffee shop cup in a coffee shop.
Yeah. But not the coffee shop that made the coffee.
No, this is true. I didn't finish it yesterday, so I wanted to finish it this morning. And so I do have some hot coffee brewed, but this is a camp out cold brew, marshmallow and chocolate. It works. And It's leftover from yesterday, so we're going to finish this first.
Practical. Always practical. We had the s'mores adventure recently on our last little escape.
I saw the pictures. All gooey.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, she loved it. So now it's the new thing. So, although if you make s'mores dip, it's slightly less messy just because the squishy and the toddler.
Yeah, they're in the little hands, and yeah. Although I don't think I've ever made s'mores dip.
A cast iron pan or a casserole or something. You can grease up some coconut oil, chocolate chips, marshmallows on top, put it in the oven, warm and toasty, pull it out, scoop it up with graham crackers, or whatever else you allow your chitlins to have. Cookies.
Sounds yummy.
Yeah. So.
Although if you're like Mindy, you probably made the graham crackers from scratch.
I didn't this time. We just got back home. I have a good toasted oats cracker recipe that tastes like graham cracker. It's not totally labor intensive, but it's just one of those things that has more steps than you think a cracker recipe should have.
Danielle Walker has one that she makes a lot right now that looks fairly easy, and it's grain free, that I've wanted to try. I just haven't gotten there yet. Last weekend was for scones.
Oh, yes, I made scones. Yeah, all these bags of dried figs right now. So I made fig, pistachio, and orange scones. Okay.
I made what was supposed to be an orange cranberry, but it was a very yummy cranberry one. I didn't put enough orange in. I tried to use my oils and some dust, but it didn't quite come out enough. And I made chocolate chip one. I made a couple of different kinds. But this weekend was supposed to be for catching up to laundry with my new dryer.
I keep telling you, you have this amazing dryer that works really super fast in the Arizona climate right now, called the Great Outdoors. Heck,
well,
you could probably
I tried doing it.
If you had a drying rack, you could put it in your garage.
Which is what I did, because we still needed clothes and we still needed towels. The problem is the towels particularly came out very crunchy.
Oh, yeah.
Since I don't use fabric softener.
Yes.
So what I use doesn't seem to be enough for it. They still worked. We still use them because I needed to wash towels, but I'll probably do some laundry today.
When they dry so fast and y'all don't have the wind that we have this nice extra. I mean, it helps them be not quite the cardboard that, because you're drying like 5 minutes outside. Here it takes a little longer, but the wind helps soften.
Well, and if we get the wind, they'll wind up in our neighbor's yard. Because we don't just get the breeze.
Yeah.
I mean, not that you haven't had your share of wind lately.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which Mindy is in Kansas, northwest Kansas, which is why she gets a little bit of a breeze. I'm in the desert southwest, where right now it is 118 degrees this weekend. Yeah.
Yuck, sorry. we're having clouds and rain. And by the way, hi, I am Mindy of MindyGets.com with my sidekick, Auntie
I'm
Kirka.
Erica from Love, Joy, and Sprinkles, also known as Auntie Kirka.
Yes, which confused everybody on our recent trip because Eden tends to call Aunt Becca Auntie Kirka because you're both taller, have dark hair. Becca's hair's been shorter, it was longer this time. But yeah, that hard.
And she's 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So anyway.
Oh, I'm sorry. Because, yeah, I know what it's like to get called a different name, though.
Yeah, and everyone's
I
like, Kirka? That's an interesting name. I'm like, well, it's not the real name. It's like the little.
It makes sense when it comes from Erica, not necessarily Becca.
Yeah.
It doesn't, yeah.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah, Dennis's niece was about Ollie's age when I first got to know her. The one that's now married.
Married. Yeah.
Yeah. And she called me Dennis's ex-girlfriend's name for a little while. When we first, they dated for a couple of years. So at the time I was like, I get it. You're 4. It was.
Yeah. You're the girl with my uncle.
Yeah, exactly. Now she's 28 and she knows my name. So, it works.
That's good. That's good. Good progress there, baby girl. So today we are intending to talk about surrender and forgiveness. It only took us a few minutes to get there, to even introduce ourselves, because that's the way we roll. Yep.
Yeah.
You walk in on a conversation, inevitably.
Which is how this started.
Yeah.
We got together on Sunday morning.
Yep.
With coffee.
We have our conversations and we invite you along for them, not because we are the end all be all or have any or all of the answers, but because we enjoy sharing with others. We enjoy having a larger table. So pull up a chair. I kind of think that mustardy colored one kind of back behind you is calling my name right now.
Oh, wait, the other way.
I'm sure.
I always forget the mirror aspect of this.
Yes.
That one right
there. Yeah. And I'm sure we were in the same
really
space.
Short. Oh, okay. Speaking of toddlers, we also have many interactions.
We also have toddlers.
1 second, I'll get it.
If we were there in that little room, I'm sure our toddlers would be crawling all over that brown couch against the wall.
Yeah.
Mine would be on the arm of the chair with her legs swinging off. And
they don't stand very well with these, but so they're like these things.
We just woke
speaking
up
of toddlers who never stop talking.
We got a new Lego car yesterday.
Want
to show it? Here. Can you hear Aunt Timothy?
Good morning, buddy.
Police officer.
It's a police officer. Very fun.
It comes with him.
It came with him.
He put most of the car together himself.
Very good.
Why'd you take the top off of the car? Oh, is that how you get the police officer out?
Yeah, that's how to get the door open.
Oh, the door doesn't open. That's inconvenient.
It's not even like a toy police car.
It's not?
No.
No, what kind of police car is it?
In all the police cars, they can all get to the bad guys and then battle. They can all do it from here. There.
For a Lego thing, this is actually a pretty decent vehicle.
Yeah. And I go with the guy in.
Yeah. Okay, can you go over there and play while I talk to Aunt Mindy?
No,
Eden's not awake yet, sweetheart.
Yeah. Eden left the house with Nana. She's not going to be here this time.
Oh, that's right. You guys are 2 hours ahead.
Yeah. Yep, they're gone. I'm sorry, buddy, but maybe we'll catch up with you later. And you and Eden can see each other again.
Yeah, they love talking.
Our babies are 5 days apart. Best buds, aren't you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know that they call it.
They came with emergency cones. Okay, can I talk to Aunt Mindy?
Oh, I don't want to.
Okay, you can listen. Okay, we're gonna have our conversation. Okay. Okay.
So speaking
I have
of
no way to
surrender,
mute one versus another, so just
so
we'll
speaking
see
of
how this
surrender, we have, well, I have been experiencing opportunities to surrender on a more regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
I've been recognizing the opportunity to surrender that continues to present themselves, all those opportunities, for quite a while now. I blame reading the book The Surrender Experience by Michael Singer.
I think I've heard of that one.
It's a really good book. It's kind of one of those books that you don't want to read. Like, you want to read it, but you don't want to read it because things don't get to be different. Things don't get to be the same after you read it.
It's disruptive. That's the word. It's not, but not. That's the wrong word. Interrupting of your normal.
Getting the front.
Yes, you can't. It will take a lot more energy to look at things the same way afterwards, which is good. And I read books like that.
Nope, don't touch that. I think it's important to read books like that.
Look.
It is important to read books like that. Although I know that there are many books like that, and many that I have researched or have on a list or even checked out from the library and then went, yep, can't do it yet. Basil van der Kolk's The Body Keeps Score. Sat on my desk.
I've heard of that one.
For quite a while. I opened it up and tried to read the intro. I skipped around. And I took it back to the library.
This is what it back.
It has really important information. It has information that I already know. It has information that will heal things. But I am not yet ready to surrender to some of those realities. So back to the booklet. So there's that. But I think I sent you a couple of things on Instagram from Mono Wellness recently about surrender. That was something that I hadn't thought about before. And she had mentioned that
I'm almost like your size.
Deep sleep is deep safety. It's a daily surrender.
What word are you saying before sleep?
Deep. D-E-E-P.
Deep. Okay.
Deep.
I was hearing something like eek, or that's why I was like, I know she's not saying what I'm hearing. Okay. That's why I wanted to say it, so that just in case anybody else was hearing too. Deep.
Yes. Deep sleep is deep safety, and it's a daily form of surrender. And before we let you all on, we were talking about sleep and our sleep and sleeping with toddlers and how
so close to my eyes, please, okay?
They may surrender deeply, but we do not so much.
Lego. I watched the Lego police cars.
You watched the Lego police cars?
Okay. And the bad guys.
Okay.
And the helicopter.
Okay. And the helicopter. So, yeah, well, and I think, yeah, definitely you can see how, but even toddlers, because one of the things that I had a conversation with his pediatrician about is, yes, you, was that he takes a long time. It takes a little bit more after me when it comes to getting to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
His sister is a lot like his dad. Fall asleep anywhere within 5 seconds. They're snoring. Surrender and getting to sleep is a little bit harder for him, just like it is for me. Once he's asleep, he's out. He's done. Yeah. And granted, at 4, just like we were just talking about, the motion, right? There is that perpetual motion in a 4-year-old a lot of the time too, where it's they don't stop long enough to let themselves surrender.
It's kind of like a good
right? And you kind of sometimes have to give them a hand.
This is where it can
and
go
saying,
faster.
okay, it's okay to stop and slow down now. But I think sometimes we forget, you know, if we've always been like that, or as adults, if we are having a hard time with surrender. Yes, that is very polite.
These are where it can go faster. This, so it can steer faster.
That's how you can steer faster? Okay. I am still trying to have this conversation, okay? Okay. But that was very polite saying, excuse me, we're working on how to interrupt. So, but I think even as adults, right, because I think in a couple of our Sunday conversations, we've talked about the busyness, right? And needing to be busy. That's a part of the surrender too. It's surrendering to a different way of living. And sorry, I'm like neck deep in Kate Northrup's Do List right now again.
Yeah.
So, but as adults, we have a hard time with that surrender, especially if we never learned it, right? That it's okay to turn that over. So not only are we keeping ourselves perpetually busy,
yes,
moving all the time, but then when it's time to slow down, we haven't given ourselves either the tools or the permission that it's okay to hand it over at night.
Yes. And surrender, we talked about before, is not a giving up or a giving in, but it is a trusting experience. And all of these things, surrender, trust, forgiveness, are rooted and begin in feelings. And that's where I get stuck, confused, because I have lived in my head for a very long time. Survivors do. They're going to figure it out. They're going to keep going. There is another way if they think hard enough.
I never had these.
Then they're going to find the way out. They're
my
going to
first
find
time I lived in
whatever. And they're also hypervigilant, right?
I really wanted it.
Yeah, I know you wanted it.
Because you have to be aware of all the ways that everything could crumble. And
and if you're not vigilant and you don't keep that watch,
right. There's the belief that things will fall apart and you will lose control, which you didn't have control in the first place. But it feels nice to think that, or we tell ourselves it feels nice to be in control, right? And
give ourselves that illusion that
right. Yeah. And so what I'm relearning in the midst of this process of surrender and forgiveness is that we don't get to mute the feelings that we don't like. So that notion came years ago in an Al-Anon room, I'm sure, that you don't get to not feel pain just so you can feel joy. You don't get to ignore how angry you are at your, alcoholic spouse and then laugh with ease with your kids. Once you have built the wall around your heart or whatever it is that you don't let the emotions flow, you don't get any emotions, good, bad, or otherwise. And it is a relearning process. Like, I've spent a lot of time thinking, well, I thought I forgave them. I thought these were the steps that I needed to take to XYZ. But thinking and having these steps and words is all a process that's here when everything needs to happen in this heart space.
Yes.
And so the reason it doesn't feel like it's worked is because I didn't feel the things that needed to happen to make it work or stick or whatever. You can't solve those problems with your head, and that's pissed me off for a while.
Well, I just finished reading it's funny the way you're talking about it too. I think my brain has started to process through that too, in some ways. Although I'm many steps behind where you are, but that's okay. Well, even if we start at the same time, it all takes us with the time it takes us.
Right.
But I just finished reading. Yes, there was a motorcycle back there. I just finished reading Untamed by Glennon Doyle. Highly recommend for anybody. So, and Oliver, he would like to show you his pajamas, which are
very cool.
Timothy said they're very cool. I forgot he didn't have the AirPod in anymore. I was like, oh wait, he totally didn't hear you. So, and she talks a lot about that, where part of her changes in thought with her is the realization that feelings are not meant and emotions are not meant to be suppressed and dealt with. The feelings are not the bad guy. You're meant to feel them. You're meant to go through hard things. But when you have those tools, you don't need to suppress them. You have what you need to feel them and acknowledge them and live through them and get to the next stage. And that it's really important. And we actually talked about that too. And I think part of our culture is our larger culture. Yes, sweetheart.
If every doctor wants to bring the home, he just puts them in the
Okay. Well, it's a good idea to put them in the car if he wants to bring them with him. I joined a group at work where we talk about this as women, right? Especially, and in a business world, we're taught that being emotional and feeling our feelings, and especially men are specifically felt this, right? Or told this, that feelings are bad, being emotional is bad.
Yeah.
It's weak to have feelings. And it's like, I think a lot of that, right? There's a strength in acknowledging that you should have feelings. And I think part of that surrender is acknowledging that a bad feeling is not, yes, it feels bad, but it's not bad to have a bad feeling.
Well, it's all your judgment.
It's a healing, right? Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean, anger moves you out of complacency. So is it bad? I mean, if somebody's anger gets up in your face, you think that it's bad. Or you can
do not click that.
I know.
Sorry, he's hovering over the leave button. So if I disappear,
okay.
It's a big red button. So keep going.
So tempting, and that whole not reading.
Do you want this one?
Tricky.
Do you want that one on?
So yeah, the feeling is where things begin. I mean, we feel hungry. Our body physically feels the sensation of hunger if we pay attention to it. If we stop shoving food in our mouths long enough to get to the place of needing nourishment, we'll feel hunger. So that feeling, that sensation is natural. And if you pay attention, emotions have a feeling, a sensation in our body, and that can be guidance for us if we choose to utilize it in that way instead of having an emotion and then having a judgment, instead of experiencing the sensation that comes with the emotion and being with it. So and I don't think that there is one answer, nor is there one for good, for always answer for every person. Whether it be processing emotions, learning to feel them again, or understanding, like I'm learning, that to heal the things, you go back to the emotions, the feelings, the sensations in your body, not to the list of thoughts and physical or thoughts or actions that you think necessarily will fix it without getting to the emotional level. So
I will put the asterisk to anybody watching too, just to acknowledge we're not psychiatrists, we're not psychologists, we're not counselors. We're talking, again, just like two ladies. We actually do talk about these things on chat. We send each other messages. Yep. We have conversations throughout the week similar to this, where we honestly talk this way and talk through. And I think as friends, it's important to be able to have those, right? It's that sign of vulnerable, right? You need to be vulnerable with your friends to some degree, or to your significant other, to have some of those conversations, to acknowledge and share, right? Especially with a significant other, that you are having feelings, right? Because if you, oh, I know, you're being so polite, sweetheart, but I'm trying to finish this.
Can you help me get the big chair?
Yes, give me 1 second. Can I finish with Mindy? Sounds like Daddy's in the kitchen. Maybe you can have some breakfast.
Ooh, breakfast.
So, or even something to drink, and Mommy will make breakfast when we're done. Because if you're not open that you're having certain feelings, even if it's not towards them, right? You're angry. It may be because something happened at work that day, right? But we are not counselors. We honestly have these conversations. If you are having specific feelings, if you're struggling through things, find somebody to talk to. There are a lot of resources out there. These are just things that we're coming across too. I think it's good, like you said, to read things that are disruptive to your way of thinking sometimes, because, and even bring that if you do have a therapist or a counselor and you are working through trauma, you're working through processing of feelings, and then you read something and it's always good to bring that to whoever you're working with. Just like we're talking, right? We've mentioned a couple of books. It's like, I read this thing, right? We send each other things back and forth all day too.
Yes.
Because you never know how something's going to help somebody else. And that's why we bring this up. And that's why we started broadcasting, doing these weekly and recording it. But I just wanted to kind of put that out there.
Yes.
We
have degrees. They are not in most of the things that we talk about. On a daily basis. Well, I do have.
Well, you're probably a little bit closer than I am.
Some certifications in some of those things, but they're a little bit more on the woo-woo end than the clinical psychology path. But we've kind of skipped over.
So I can write about it.
We met in journalism school. Weird as it is. We didn't talk much about forgiveness, but for me, they were kind of walking hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
Because as I was thinking about forgiveness, especially forgiving myself for things in life, the piece that was missing for me was surrendering to the feelings and surrendering the feelings. So,
okay.
You can say, I forgive you.
No.
You can ask for someone's forgiveness. You can wish someone had asked for forgiveness or apologized or whatever. But those words they're not a magic eraser. They don't just make the emotions go away, which is really frustrating. And so I had to figure out, like, what's the missing piece? And the emotions are the missing piece. The emotions are what are asking for healing. And how that healing happens is surrendering to them and surrendering the resentment, surrendering the anger, the loneliness, the whatever came that created this situation that needed forgiving. And I got to that realization by doing some ho'oponopono. Joe Vitale is probably one of the most well-known practitioners of this traditional Hawaiian practice. Wim Hof is the breath guy. There's another gentleman who studied this on a naval base or something, practicing 4 statements. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And so I was practicing those statements, thinking about someone who had really upset me. And I could say these things. Well, there was one situation where I couldn't say the statements as they were, or I would say the statement with a little extra, I forgive you for being a jerk. Like that's not the statement. But I realized I could say those words all day, and yes, it can help. The words are powerful. But I had to allow myself to feel the words. And that's when things started to shift. And then there started to be the understanding of how forgiveness could be felt and not just reasoned or stated.
Right.
And of course, around this time when I was thinking more about forgiveness and surrender, social media answered my vibration and sent me all sorts of things about forgiveness and surrender. One of which was Matt Turner from Be Love Healing, who said that forgiveness is restoring love, compassion, and understanding. Which are all more than like tasks or check off boxes, right? And that word restoring was a powerful one for me to think about, because it's not just the doneness that we would like forgiveness to be sometimes. Oh, well, he apologized. I said I forgave him. Done. No.
But if you don't feel that if you said the words, I forgive you, but you didn't feel that you were actually forgiving the person, it doesn't
right. Because
process through.
Yeah, the actual element of forgiveness is a restoration, not just a doneness. And it doesn't mean that you have to be in a relationship with the person anymore. For me, restoring just means there's not like this ugly, sticky, craggy gap, right? Like healed, restoration, restoration.
Well, because I think there's a lot of situations in our lives where, like you said, right, and we use the word relationship as in association, right? Because it could be any situation, whether it's with somebody that is within your family, so you have a relationship with them and they've done something, or it can be even a trauma you've gone through created by somebody else, that in a work situation even, right? Because I think back to some of the things that I've gone through where it's like, I'm trying to heal that trauma, right, from my past, and coming to the realization that there's forgiveness involved in order to move forward, and you have to feel it. I don't talk to any of the people involved in this situation, but in your heart, you still have to feel, in your body, you still have to feel that you have truly forgiven what happened, and you're able, because that's the only way you can move forward. It's kind of like, I started following somebody on Instagram called Preston Smile. He's amazing. He's a life coach and motivation speaker. And one of the things he talked about recently was, it's not, I'm going to paraphrase him, and I'm really awful at this. I'm going to apologize to him right now if he ever sees this. But I even responded to him on Instagram, because it really hit me. Because one of the problems I have is surrender, whether it's in forgiveness, whether it's in abundance and manifestation, whether it's in sleep. Obviously, I'm an insomniac, but he phrased it, and it started to turn me around a little bit, which makes me feel good, is that, you know, despite I follow Gabby Bernstein. I follow all of the practitioners, but the way he said it was about, it's not what you're praying. So it's not the words, it's how you're praying. It's what you're thinking. It's what you're feeling. And he uses praying. It could be thinking, meditating, whatever. Because you can say, and it really got down to, I could say the words all day, right? I release fear. I surrender. But if I don't have,
yeah, if your jaw is tight,
I forgive you.
Yeah.
I forgive the situation. It's like you
Yeah.
have to let your whole body feel that release of either trust, forgiveness, whatever it is that you're trying to. And then so back to sleep, if you're not releasing that, whatever it is, right? If you're not truly forgiving somebody who's done wrong or made you feel wrong, or you're not moving past the situation, or whatever it is, because that is making you to where you're not surrendering to sleep. You're not able to trust that situation. You're not able to kind of fall into that. Then I can be able to ride on that.
Yeah, you can't, yeah. Trusting that you can be,
I lost the words at the end there.
that's okay. Trusting that you can be safely asleep and not doing anything, and your house will still stand. You'll still have a job in the morning. You'll still have a relationship. You'll be able to accomplish the things that you need to accomplish the next day. Yeah, it can be a big thing.
You want one of the AirPods in a minute? Well, okay, so then here's the next question, because one of the big things, as we see toddlers, right? How do we teach our children? Right? Because I think that's where it starts. I mean, no matter what, and that was something that I've been reading also from somebody I follow, just about, you know, one of the things that we have a hard time surrendering to is how to parent, right? And trusting that you're doing, because one of the things that I'm working through is I'm ruining them no matter what I'm doing throughout the day, right? But teaching them to trust their feelings, because we're also trying to teach them, right? Yes, you need to teach them that there's certain ways that you release and you show those feelings, right?
Yes.
But that it's okay to have those feelings, right? It's okay to be angry.
Yep.
You just can't throw your toys and hit your friends, and right? You can't do that part of being angry. It's okay to be sad, right? I think they're still going to have trauma that they're still going to have to work through. There's things that you can't shelter them in a bubble either to prevent them from going through things. So, but it's so much also better to teach them that it is okay to feel that. And I think that's the hard part. How do we do that with, I mean, that's a whole other Sunday morning conversation. Toddlers and feelings and children, because even high school kids and feelings, you know, just because my daughter's going to be 15 soon doesn't mean that, I mean, because we're talking about this, right? In our 40s, we're talking about how do we process feelings? How do we feel feelings? So how do we process that through to our 15 and 4-year-olds that those feelings are okay?
Yeah.
Right? Because they're even more magnified because they're such immature feelings because they're so much newer, right? And they're just developing these things.
I don't know if they're immature feelings. I think that they're full and true feelings that they haven't learned.
Oh, I was saying immature as in because they're 4 versus 40. Like young feelings. That's where I was going.
Yeah, but I think that the difference has more to do with the levels of suppression that we have been taught versus, because I think my daughters, recent struggles are totally valid and complete feelings that need supported. And I'm trying to figure that out, which is, I think, the great place to maybe end today and say, this is where we're going to head next week, is how we are learning to support our children to have and experience their emotions without suppressing them, but also learning the healthy boundaries of, like, sometimes you get angry and need to scream, but you maybe don't need to do it right into my ear.
Or in the middle of Target.
That's our fear. That's our fear of judgment of ourselves. Maybe, I mean, there have been times that I feel like I probably wanted to scream in the middle of Target as an employee and as a customer.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
yes.
But you go, as an adult, able to process that, right? You go to your car, or
yeah, but a toddler can't go to the car. You know what I mean? Like, they can't get there themselves.
Oh no, yeah.
So yeah.
And then giving ourselves grace as parents to handle those situations without judging ourselves.
Yeah, yeah. But I think we're gonna call it a day.
I think that is a good place to stop. Yes.
Surrender and forgiveness, and we'll talk more about kiddos' emotions and feelings and processing them together next time.
Do I want more coffee?
Oh, yeah, there's like this much left.
Smart. Yes. More coffee.
Because there's only this much left in my cup. You see? Feelings. Yeah.
Yes. All righty. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you around the block.
Thank you.